Well, hello. So it's been a little over a month since this whole demonetization thing kicked in, and I felt it's high time for a proper update where I tell you what has changed and how we're moving forward, because we are. Laying down and giving up is not an option. I would not only give up this project that I've been working on for 10 years, but I would also be giving up a community of 120,000 people. That's not worth it. So instead of laying down, we're gonna scale up production. We're expanding Vologda mapping in a number of ways to beat this thing. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, as well as a bit about Ukraine and what I think about the closest future in Ukraine, mainly about like 2025 and so on, with the election and stuff, what's been happening. So that's in the end of the video because I know you like that stuff. But first, how has Vologda mapping changed since the demonetization? First of all, as you know, I've been forced to upload the videos, the war updates, with 1 week's delay on YouTube, and that's just to create incentives for you to support me on Patreon, where I upload them as fast as possible, as soon as I'm finished with them. Just to create incentives for you to support me financially so that the project can survive. And thank you so much to everybody who has pledged. There's a lot of you, and and it's really making a difference, a big one. Um, so yes, early access for $1 American a month or more, preferably more. Um, I'm also answering all the comments here, as you can see. If you want to get in touch with me and have a conversation about something, like anything really, I always answer on Patreon. I make a point of it. And also you get access to the Vologda mapping community, if that's something you're interested in. A bit more on that later on as well, because there's other ways than just Patreon to get in touch with the Vologda mapping community. I'm also going to introduce some new goals on Patreon. Um, Levels of like revenue that I get there. I'm going to start. I haven't really fledged this idea fully out, but I think in the beginning of each video, like this starting screen here, I thought I would put a little percentage number of how close we are to the next goal. And when we reach that goal on Patreon, you get rewards on YouTube. For example, at one goal, we're gonna stop with this whole early access on Patreon only thing and delayed videos on YouTube thing. When I have replaced the lost income on YouTube, or at least the least, like what I made on a bad month on YouTube, when we reach that level on Patreon, I can stop with the early access bullshit, which we all hate probably. And the next level, I'll probably start uploading the Sudan videos to YouTube as well. As I said in the community post, I'm kind of glad I didn't have to upload this one on YouTube because it really puts things into perspective. I know we've heard a bit about horrible stuff in Sudan, but now that I've started to research it on a weekly basis, Sudan is different than Israel, Gaza, and Ukraine, Russia. It's just horrible what's going on there, and nobody knows about it. Nobody reports on it, which is bullshit. So if you want to know about this terrible war that is really big, like on the same scale, but nobody reports on really, $1 a month on Patreon and you get that. What else? Yes, we're actually expanding to Rumble now. And I only just created the channel here, so I'm a bit new to Rumble. But I've uploaded the latest war updates and a few recent videos and this banger as well, and I'm going to upload all the other really popular videos. If we go here, for example, Star Wars, European exploration, Tamriel, Africa, Game of Thrones probably, all the really popular ones, Lord of the Rings here, we're gonna have them published to Rumble as well. And like I said, it's a work in progress, and I haven't really fledged this idea fully, but fully out. But I think what I'll do, just to attract you to Rumble more, is I'm gonna upload the videos to Rumble after Patreon, but before YouTube. So if you really cannot pledge any amount on Patreon, but you still want early access, a little earlier access at least, go to Rumble and follow me there. Right now, I'm my only follower. That's embarrassing. So come on, go to Rumble. It's a great alternative to YouTube. It's not as big and I won't get as many views, I know that. But I can at least monetize here because Rumble is really nice in this way. And I'm only saying this now that I've been demonetized, but they're an alternative for people who have been demonetized on YouTube. So it allows a bit more, I don't want to say gruesome, but uncensored content. So I'll do some research and see if Rumble would allow that horrible video that was never published to YouTube that still got me demonetized, and see if I can actually post it here so that you all can see it. What's crazy about that video is that on Patreon, some of you asked me to send it to you, and I did on email, but or Gmail rather. But then Google found out about that video, and it went against their policies as well. So now I can't even send it to anyone. I don't know how to send it because even Google won't allow the video. So it's strange. But maybe Rumble will. So that's interesting. Next on the list of big news is that we have a Vologda mapping Discord server moderated by these two beautiful people. So, link in the description. Go and join us and join the Vologda mapping community and talk shit. No, not shit, but talk in a respective tone with the community. And yeah, let's see what we can make of this. It's quite new still, work in progress, but and also if you're interested in moderating the server, because right now we're only having 2 of them, so talk to me about it, I suppose. Contact me on wherever, basically. Discord, I'll see the comments in this video. Yes. So new Discord server. I also quickly want to mention that if you still want to pledge a small amount, just donate, but not on a monthly basis, then Buy Me a Coffee is a really big, great alternative. So here you can just choose any amount and just send a one-time donation, which also makes a difference. I'm very grateful. And you can also leave a beautiful comment here to me, and I'll see it and I'll respond. So thank you very much to all of you who have done that so far. So that's basically what I wanted to tell you about. That YouTube is really, like, this decision is permanent. I've argued my case like crazy, and they're just not listening. It's really stupid, but they made their decision and they're standing with it. So as an alternative, we're expanding mainly to Patreon, also to Rumble, and what else? Join the Discord server, and if you want to pledge a one-time donation, buy me a coffee. Buy me a coffee. I like coffee. And now on to Ukraine. We should probably talk about the election a bit, how Trump will affect Ukraine. You probably know that he wants to end the war, he says. That's what's important to him. And it doesn't really sound like he means in a Ukrainian victory type of way. So what's the alternative then? I'm guessing, first of all, he promised, or well, yeah, he said that he was going to have the war ended within like, what was it, like 24 hours or 48 hours or something, within being elected. I always knew that was bullshit. We all did probably. I mean, unless he had a big like trick up his sleeve. No, that's not going to happen. And say what you will about him, even if you support him, that's just a political stunt. Because if he wins and he doesn't deliver, he's already won the election, which is what happened. So, yes. And if he loses, then he can say, oh, well, now the war's going to continue. I told you so. And then he gets right either way. So, let's not put too much into that. That's just political Trump talk. That's what he does. But Putin has congratulated him on the victory, or not? Did he? I don't really know. It's also new. Different sources say different things. But what do I think will happen in Ukraine because of this? Not a whole lot. I actually think the main difference we're going to see in 2025 is that Russia is going to advance slightly faster than they have in 23 and 24. So a bit more localized breakthroughs here and there. And that's what we're going to talk about next. My predictions for the next few battles for 2025. So let's go from north to south and analyze the front line a bit. Ukraine has made some incursions here. Let's not read into them too much either. They don't really matter. It's more like a distraction, and unless it develops to a big thing like Kursk here, let's not care about that for now. This whole major Kursk invasion, however, Russia has retaken a bit over half, I believe, of, well, sources differ, but of what Ukraine has taken as a whole. And you can see this by red is what Russia has reclaimed, yellow is what Russia claims to have reclaimed, but it's not verified by the Institute for the Study of War at least, and this is my main source. And blue is of course where Ukrainians are still thought to remain. You're probably looking at this and asking yourself, what's up with this? And to be honest, I'm kind of doing the same, but we can analyze the map here a bit. This line runs along a river here, and then the river turns this way, looks like. You can't really tell, but it does. And somehow the Ukrainians have managed to retain this and also chosen not to retreat from here, which is strange because it's looking like Russia is kind of close to a total encirclement of lots of Ukrainian forces. But the fact that Ukraine maintains positions here tells me that these Russian claims are probably not as accurate as Russia would have you believe. I think Ukraine probably retains some strong positions here and feel confident that an encirclement is not imminent at least. And if they feel like that, they'll probably retreat from the areas north of Malaya Loknaya. That's about it for Kursk. Let's continue on to Vovchansk. Not a whole lot of developments here either. A few in Vovchansk itself, but other than that, it's been kind of slow here. Not a lot of movements. A few, but it's a stalemate here, and I don't really think it provided the distraction that Putin wanted, this whole thing. Yeah, we can probably put that aside for now. Interestingly enough, though, Kupiansk is my main prediction for new battles in 2025. Recently, Russian sources claim that they've reached the northernmost outskirts of Kupiansk here. I'm not sure. I think it's probably like incursions across this little stream here. So but I don't think Russian forces retain positions here actively. I think maybe north of this stream probably. Um, but and they've also made big advances here in Petropavlivka. So they've been advancing really slowly, but kind of steadily, and made some big advances here south of it as well. So they're advancing on Kupiansk from north, east, south, and it's likely that we're gonna see a major battle here. Although I do not believe, unless things are really changing and maybe Trump does some stuff that is very bad for Ukraine, that Russian troops are going to be able to cross the Oskil River again. Maybe, probably not, but maybe they can try to enter it from this side here and advance along the Oskil River. But I don't think so, actually. I think if they reach Kupiansk and it becomes a battle, then maybe they could take the entire eastern half, and then the new front line would be along the Oskil River, just as it is up here. So we could probably see this whole Ukrainian salient east of Oskil to disappear maybe entirely in 2025, and then a new front line along here. They've also made some not small but not significant advances here. They've advanced more and more into Kharkiv Oblast. I doubt they will be able to reach Borova in 2025. They're not really focusing that much here, but it's possible we'll see some more advances, very likely. And then probably, Ukrainian forces are going to try to make a stand here. And I'm assuming actually that Russian forces will be able to capture the last of Luhansk Oblast, as they did in, 2022. And then with the Kharkiv counteroffensive, the Ukrainians pushed back east again into Luhansk Oblast again. But I'm predicting that Luhansk Oblast is going to be totally captured once again in 2025 by the Russian forces. I'm also predicting a Battle of Siversk, and it's not difficult to see why if you look at the map. They're controlling this little village here, and they're making advances north here. They've been making advances quite recently here, both from the east and from the south. So, and there's not a whole lot of great defenses east of Siversk. I'm not sure what keeps the Ukrainian defenses going here at the moment. Probably just units and trenches, but there's no rivers here protecting Siversk. It's going to be fairly easy if Russia just decides to focus more there. What else? We have the Battle of Chasiv Yar, where they've been making more and more advances recently. It was a big stalemate for a long time, and literally the week that I decided to change that minimap in my videos, they made a breakthrough and took basically all of these lands here. And then they made some more gains recently, and also in the actual city of Chasiv Yar. So right now the Ukrainians are making a stand at the lakes here to protect the rest of the city, and also they have quite a narrow strip of urbanized land where they are making a stand. And also they have this Chasiv Yar canal where they're holding their ground. But Russian forces have surpassed it at several locations, and I think we can safely say that in 2025, at the very latest, I mean for sure, they're going to be able to pass the channel here in some other areas, and then the defense of Chasiv Yar is not going to be as easy as it has been. I'm not saying it has been easy. The city is totally destroyed, and they're running low on resources and morale. It's not impossible, but I don't dare predict it for sure that Konstantinivka is going to be another battle of 2025. So we'll see what happens there. Although if Chasiv Yar and Toretsk falls, then we can assume that Petrivka is going to fall as well, and then Konstantinivka is for sure the next target. Unless the Russians decide to do something strange and go for Kramatorsk, but I don't think they will want to do that before they have both Konstantinivka and Siversk in their grip. Because when they have this, then they can start to move for this big urbanized chain of cities. Slovyansk, Kramatorsk, and Drushkivka. Sorry. What's been going on in the Pokrovsk offensive then? Not a whole lot. They were really stopped here by the Ukrainian defenses. People reported, and I believe them, that Pokrovsk could fall within a few short weeks, possibly even days, because they advanced here really quickly, but then they suddenly stopped. Probably because the Ukrainian defenses were better than they had thought, than we thought. But what they did instead was that they pivoted south, and they've been making significant progress here in the south, from Selidove to Kurakhove. Actually, the last week of October was the week where the Russians took the most ground they ever had since the initial invasion in 2022. So the last week of October was pretty much historic week for the Russo-Ukrainian war. It really shows the cracks that I talked about earlier in my latest update, where I made a video like this. What was it about? Can you recall? It was probably not Ochiretne. What was it? It was about some new breakthrough here. So we're really seeing the cracks here, and Kurakhove is basically semi-encircled, and it's going to continue like that. You remember, not that long ago, Russia was able to take Vologda, and now, since then, they've basically taken all of this territory in like a month or two. It fell in September, I believe, late September. And also here they've captured Selidove and Hirnik and strategically important villages here. And Kurakhove is also an important village, or town actually. I was supposed to go there a year ago, but stuff got in the way, and now I've lost my chance, obviously, and probably for the better, because it's dangerous there. But a subscriber of mine, he showed me footage from Kurakhove. And at that point, the battle was still raging in Marinka, which is here. So Kurakhove is also important for the energy and logistics infrastructure. It's important because it's like a transportational hub and also energy hub in southern Donetsk. Basically, Kurakhove is the last big prize in southern Donetsk, apart from Velika Novosilka. And that's my final prediction for a battle in Ukraine, a new battle in Ukraine, 2025. I believe Kurakhove is going to fall. They're surrounded on all sides, basically. They have the Kurakhove reservoir protecting them to the north, but the Russians are here. They can certainly pull up big artillery units when they've taken the rest of the northern shore here, and then they can bomb the shit out of the Ukrainian defenses, and they will have to fall back or take huge losses, like in Avdiivka and so on. So I think we can predict for 2025 that the Pokrovsk bulge that Russia has been able to develop here is going to probably disappear and be linked up with this Volodar advance that they've been developing more recently. So I think we can assume probably that they're gonna reach maybe along these rivers here at least. And then they're also starting to advance towards Velika Novosilka now, after the fall of Vuhledar. So obviously, the front lines basically went like this before the fall of Vuhledar, and when they captured it, they were able to push not only north, but also, from Marinka and Donetsk to the west, and just push on several axes here. So it's a really difficult situation in southern Donetsk for Ukraine. And it's also a strategic victory or rather defensive victory for Russia, because now the capital of Donetsk city, is safe from Ukrainian troops, at least. With the fall of Marinka, the last gateway to Donetsk city was in Russian hands. And you see this black line, that's the borders when the invasion started. And now they're at here, and Donetsk city is safe for now. Actually, for the foreseeable future, because if Russia has a big momentum anywhere, it's here. And I'm saying big momentum, but if you zoom out, it's really not that big, actually. They're still moving really slow, and if Ukraine continues to get help from the West, which they are going to get, even with Trump, they're still going to be able to hold most of their country. The Russians are not going to advance east of the Dnieper for sure, so they basically only have this entire front line to care about. And Russia is having local and regional successes, but it's not that critical yet. Yes, there are more and more cracks in the Ukrainian defenses, but let's not, you can easily get blind if you zoom in like this and see this, and you just think, oh, Ukraine is about to surrender any day now. But no, that's certainly not the case. It's basically still a stalemate, but more and more cracks are showing, and the Russians are advancing more and more and faster, and I think that's a prediction for 25 as well. We're going to see more and probably bigger localized breakthroughs in Russian in the front lines. And I'm assuming it's going to continue in east or southern Donetsk. And actually, I would not be surprised if Russian forces for the first time enter Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. I'm gonna say that again. Dnipropetrovsk. Oh, Jesus Christ. You get what I mean. This oblast here. And that would be the first time, interestingly enough. So that's a new historic moment in the war as well. Last but not least, I guess, is that Russia has once again started to make some advances here on the, what shall we call it, Robotne front. And maybe, but probably not, we can see a battle of Orikhiv here. I'm gonna say probably not, because it's been such a slow advance here. And I think if the Ukrainians really are afraid of the Russians reaching Orikhiv, they're gonna send reinforcements there, and I don't think we need to focus a lot on this front anytime soon. In 2023, there was a lot of talk about the Ukrainian counteroffensive pushing south here, reaching the Sea of Azov and cutting the Russian invasion in half. That turned out to be a big failure, and now Russia is slowly advancing once again. But you remember, I think it was like May or this summer or something like that the Russians were able to recapture Robotne, and since then they really haven't advanced a lot. Today is actually quite a lot for this front. But let's not read into that too much. Then we have, of course, the Dnieper campaign over here, where Russia and Ukraine is basically just trying to distract each other a bit. Kherson is bombed to smithereens. It's barely a city anymore. It's not going to become a city again. Maybe a village, unless the war ends in an unexpected way. But now it's bordering Russia. It's sort of cursed with all the things that went on there. I met a few Ukrainians from Kherson in my travels this summer, and they told me about their houses being flooded and bombed, and we've also heard about a few rapes and shit there, so you don't want to return there, even if a stalemate or a ceasefire rather is created. You don't want to return there. So Kherson is pretty much gone. It's for the history books, I believe. Sadly. That was my analysis of Ukraine. I guess we should talk briefly about Israel as well, because Trump will affect Israel big time as well. Trump has said that he fully supports Israel and that he wants to see a swift end to this war as well, but this time with an Israeli victory. Basically, what I think could happen, how the war could change because of this, would be that Israel gets more free reins now to deal with Gaza and Hamas as they see fit, and probably Lebanon as well. But it's very difficult to predict what will happen on the map in a war such as this, because this is what we call asymmetric warfare. Unlike Ukraine, where you can tell by the front lines just how different they are. Ukraine and Russia is fairly evenly matched, and Israel and Hamas is not. So Hamas has to resort to unconventional tactics of warfare. And that also means that the front lines on the map does not look like we are used to when we look at, for example, the Russo-Ukrainian War, World War I, the Second World War, where it was just one front line. But here it's more like it's very hard to predict or accurately map where the Israelis have control. For example, if you look at this little salient here of Israeli control, it's been going on for months now. It doesn't seem to make sense. Like, why would they want to retain control of this small road here where they are so close to being cut off if Hamas just makes a counteroffensive? But that's the thing, Hamas does not make counteroffensives as such. They do not try to push back the Israeli front lines, if you even can call them front lines. Rather, they focus in other ways. Bombs, ambushes, tunnels, stuff like that. So you can't really view the way I'm mapping my videos the same way if you look at Gaza and Ukraine at the same time. These front lines basically mean different things for the different wars. Now, Sudan is a bit of a middle ground there. Why not? I wasn't gonna do this, but yeah, I'll finish talking about Israel and then we'll bring that map up as well. So basically, also, this is big news. Trump has told Netanyahu that he wants to see an end to this war before he is inaugurated. That means when he enters office. Will that happen? Well, maybe. That would be a big propaganda boost for Trump for sure. If all these three wars started before or during Biden, but one of them was able to end under Trump, that would be big for him. What else? We have Lebanon here, and this is just Israel has said from the beginning that this is not a full-scale invasion of Lebanon. They are not aiming for Beirut. Their goal is to destroy Hezbollah infrastructure along the Israeli border. And the biggest news here is that they have entered this town, I forgot the name right now, quite deep into Lebanon, but still very close to the border. So they can retreat in an hour or two if they feel the need. So it's not very interesting as such. If they are able to reach a ceasefire, I believe the Israelis want to return home and retreat back and call it a victory, call it a success. Now let me, hey, that's wrong. Let me bring up the Sudan map here. Just have to find it, the latest one. Here, November 5th. What's going on here? Now, I can't talk as deeply about this conflict as I can with Israel and Ukraine, because I've only really studied this on a deep level for like 2 weeks. But what I can say is that the Sudanese forces, those are the blue ones, they are making counteroffensives in these two provinces here, Sennar and Gezira, or however you pronounce it. My Arabic is not that good. They're making counteroffensives here where the RSF, which is the red ones, had great successes earlier this year. There were fears of them being able to capture, all of this eastern part here, but no. The Sudanese forces have been able to cut them in two here and cut this off at this small city. I don't know the names quite yet. I haven't been able to study it that close. Which means that the Sudanese pocket here is connected once again to their temporary capital of Port Sudan. That's good, but there's still 3 rivers to cross, lots of bridges, lots of choke points, and I wouldn't be surprised if the RSF is trying to make another counteroffensive here. They are making advances here in the White Nile state, down the White Nile towards this city here. That's quite recent, and also lots of massacres and systematic rape and just the most horrible things going on in Gezira here. As revenge for an RSF officer from this state that deserted to Sudan. What else? Lots of rumors about new offensives going on in Darfur, but I can't really tell you more than that. Also, the situation in Khartoum. These front lines are very uncertain. Don't read too much into them. I'm not even sure that this blue blob here is a thing at all. But we'll see. That's about it for now. One last thing. Quite recently, the Sudanese forces were able to retake control of the Sudan, Libya, Chad tri-point, which is just desert over there, but it's also a important area for smuggling weapons to the RSF. So that means that these areas here, I don't suppose they will fall soon, but or at all actually. But it's below for the RSF up here at least. That's really all I can tell you about these wars for now. I am Vologda Mapping, and thank you for watching.